Hi, I'm Paris, and as you can see, I am still on the rooftop. Something happened to me I wanted to tell you about. I really didn't have time before this vacation to do a video about it, so I thought I would tell you now. And it has to do with me putting on 5 pounds of weight over the period of 2 weeks right after Thanksgiving holiday. Not during Thanksgiving, not that I ate the turkey or the stuffing or that other really good stuff, but after I got back from a week in Seattle, I put on 1 pound while I was in Seattle, which is pretty good. In years past, I've put on about 5 pounds each time we've gone up there. You have to compromise a little bit when you're traveling. So put on 1 pound when I was in Seattle. Within a couple days of coming back, I had taken that back off. I think I was back down to 189 something. And my weight had really been locked in. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I was locked on that plateau, that 189, 190 pounds for a good 6 weeks before Thanksgiving. So I went to Seattle, came back, got sick coming back from Seattle. At least I'm pretty sure it was on the plane. I picked up a bug. Within a day and a half of being back, started to get runny nose, coughing. Didn't get to the point of a fever. I don't think it was the flu. I think it was just a cold bug, but really produced a lot of congestion for about a week. And I noticed, getting into having the cold, that I was starting to put on weight. Thought it was weird because normally when you get sick, you lose weight because you lose your appetite. But see, I didn't lose my appetite. I still had a really good appetite, and I was still had lots of energy and was active, but I had to cut it back because I'd get in these coughing fits if I was moving around too much. So I was cutting back some on my energy expenditure, but not enough to put on that much weight, 5 pounds in 2 weeks. The other strange thing is, well, I thought maybe it's a virus that has this effect of making you gain weight. There could be such a thing. The illness lasted for about a week. And then I would say I wasn't producing any more phlegm, and I was feeling better, but I still had lots of stuff to cough up. So my throat was still sore. I really didn't have a voice for doing any videos. Still needed to keep a box of tissues nearby for another week. So it was 2 weeks from the time I got sick to the time I would say I was better. And I had 5 pounds of weight gain. What could explain that after being on that long plateau, after being away on vacation for a week and having to compromise on my food choices? I didn't put on nearly that much weight. So what could have caused it? So I was researching, are there viruses you can get that make you gain weight? Could it be I was eating differently after getting a little bit off my diet when I came back from Seattle? But really, that wasn't the case. I was right back on the same foods that I was having for the better part of a year before that got me down from 247 pounds down to that 189, 190. And now I'm seeing my weight go back up fast. So I was getting nervous as the pounds were coming back on. Every day it was another third a pound, half a pound. Oh my gosh, what's going on? It can't just be because I'm a little bit less active. It didn't make any sense. So after coming down from 247 pounds about a year back, I had set my never again weight at 200 pounds, that I would never again let myself get over that weight, whatever it took. But my starting to really worry weight was going to be 195, because if I got up past that, I would have to assume my diet was no longer working, which was really worrisome because from what I understand, if I keep eating these foods and keep the same lifestyle, I should be keeping the same weight. So before getting into full panic mode and hitting that 195, at 194, I was examining everything I was doing, trying to figure out what could be causing this. And all I could think of, I wasn't eating anything differently, but I was drinking something differently. Because my throat was so bad, I was having multiple cups of tea a day, probably 6 cups of tea a day, whereas in the year before, I'd have maybe 2 cups of tea a day. But it's herbal tea, decaffeinated green tea, the occasional chai tea. Nothing that had much in the way of calories, though, so that didn't seem to be it. Now I was putting my sweetener in, my stevia monk fruit mix, same as always. But I was doing something different. If you remember, a couple months back, I made a video about a new product called Allulose that in 2020 will start being in all kinds of foods. It's a very low-calorie sweetener that will replace a lot of sugar in drinks and foods. Now, Allulose is generally recognized as safe. It hasn't been carefully studied, especially for people consuming large amounts of it. The studies that have been done are on people having, 1 or 2 teaspoons with their tea. Well, I was having it with my tea because I had that bag of allulose left in my kitchen. I thought, what am I going to do with it? So I decided to sweeten up my tea a little. So I would put in my stevia sweetener, and then I would pour in a little allulose. Rather than using a spoon, I was going for a teaspoon-ish amount, but pouring it, I could very easily see that maybe it turned into closer to a tablespoon into each cup of tea, maybe 6 cups of tea a day. Well, that's 6 tablespoons of allulose, a sugar substitute, a day, day after day for 2 weeks, because even after I was no longer sick, my throat still hurt. I was still coughing things up, so I was still having a lot of tea every day. Weight gain started right after I started having all this allulose each day. Now, it shouldn't have, because allulose is very low sugar. It's not supposed to affect your insulin levels or get your insulin system fired up, because it's not processed into your cells as food, they say. But then again, it hasn't been really carefully studied. So in any case, I realized this on the evening of the day I hit 194 pounds, and I'm desperate for anything to stop my weight from continuing to go up. So I thought, all right, I was drinking tea at the time. This is the last cup of tea I'm going to have with the allulose. I'm putting it away. I'm going to go back to sweetening the teas the way I was before. I may have more cups of tea than I did because I needed it for my throat, but I'm going to get the allulose out completely. And within 2 days after stopping the allulose, weight started going back down. Within a week, the weight had gone all the way back down to about 190 pounds. I had lost almost the 5 pounds I'd put on those 2 weeks while I was sick. Could it be a coincidence? It could be a coincidence. It could be something else, but it could also be the allulose has some kind of an effect, and this may not be on everyone, but on myself at least, and probably some other people, that if you're having tablespoons of allulose every day, it mimics sugar and it signals your body. I don't know whether the insulin resistance system or something else, but it triggers your body to, instead of burning the calories that you're eating, to store them as fat. In any case, I was so glad that I not only stopped putting on weight, but it just came right back off so quickly. Now, right after that, we came on holiday here for Christmas and New Year's. So again, I'm back on the dietary compromises each day. I don't know what I'll be at exactly when I get back. I'm figuring maybe a couple pounds I'll have gone back up. But in any case, one anecdotal story doesn't make for real science. You have to repeat it. So I am going to, in January, after we get back home and after I'm back on my normal amount of activity, the same foods I've been eating for the past year, my body, I assume, hoping, will get back to about 190 and level off. At that point, I will start having 6 cups of tea a day, and I'll be putting in a tablespoon of allulose to each, and I'll do that for at least a week, 10 days, and see what happens. For myself, I hope I don't put the weight back on, and for the sake of this huge allulose rollout that's going to happen in the US next year, and it's going to end up in so many products instead of some of the sugar, I'm also hoping it doesn't turn out that there's something going on that they don't anticipate, at least for some people who consume it, where it may act just like sugar and have the calories from the rest of the food you're eating be stored as fat. It's too early to tell, but I'm concerned that may be the case. If you'd like to find out if it is the case, be sure and click subscribe down below this video, so when I do that follow-up video after using myself as a test subject, sometime probably the second half of January, you'll get notified when that video goes up. Let's see what happens, and I'll see you on the next review. Hi, I'm Paris, and let's see what happens. It's time for church. They said if you're not coming to church, you aren't doing a video.